Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now we are getting close now to Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. and there has been loads of footage from both fighters, mostly from Mike Tyson though, where he looks fast, he looks powerful, he has the movement, the positioning, and if you look at the footage from the beginning, when he first started putting it out, and compare that to now, you can see a clear difference in Mike Tyson, just how sharp he is now compared to how he was then. So clearly, he has been working on certain things, getting those certain fundamentals back to where they were before in this training camp. Now, this fight, it's not going to be a huge brawl, apparently. It's going to be an exhibition, but I'm not really buying into that. Many people are. They're saying that it's just an exhibition, but it's Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson, two of the biggest egos in boxing. So I don't see it being just an exhibition. I see it being more than that. I think that once Mike Tyson lands a punch on Roy Jones, Jones ain't gonna like that, and vice versa. So I think that the egos will come out after a certain point in this contest, and then, from then on, it will be a free-for-all. It is an exhibition, yes, of course. It's labelled that, and those will be the rules. But they're fighting to have a fight. These guys are fighters. They know how to fight, they don't know how to have an exhibition. That will be the difference when they get into the ring at the end of the month. And you can just see how much both of them have put into this. You can see how Mike Tyson has been working on his craft. Obviously, he's a very talented boxer because he's one of those boxers who can fight and box at the same time. Yes, he comes forward. He moves well as he comes forward, but there's more to it than that. He is well schooled as a boxer, not just as a fighter, because you can see his knockout reel of him knocking fighters out, but there is much more to it when he's fighting at that certain level. The same with Roy Jones. He is unbelievable what he is able to do in the ring. Many others cannot replicate what Roy Jones was able to do in his prime. Roy Jones thinks that speed is going to be key. No one at this current stage, his age I'm saying, can compete with his speed, because obviously currently the fighters who are around 30 or whatever, they're going to be faster than Roy Jones because Roy Jones' speed would have waned over the years, but anyone in and around his same age group will not be as fast as him, and that will be the difference in this fight. Now, when you look at Mike Tyson when he's on the pads, you can see his position, you can also see his balance, how he throws the punch, but he maintains his center of gravity. So what he's trying to do by doing that is not give anything away, because the worst thing that you can do is come over your front foot when you throw those kind of punches, especially with the power and tenacity that Mike Tyson does. You surrender so much when you do that and allow yourself to be countered, especially in there with someone like Roy Jones. So he cannot afford to do that. That is why he is working on those certain things. They are fundamentals, they seem simple, but it's not easy to do, to maintain that center of gravity, to maintain that kind of balance when you are throwing those kind of power shots. If you stand there in the boxing stance and try and throw a power shot, you will feel your balance go forwards as you try and do that. Someone like Mike Tyson is trying to train to make sure that he does not surrender those certain things, because if he does and he walks onto one, then his momentum takes him onto the punch, meaning it's more devastating than it would be if he took it where he was in the boxing stance and had his balance on his side. So that is what he is trying to do when he throws those certain power shots. He's trying to maintain his balance to make sure that yes, his punches are devastating, but also he doesn't get caught with anything if he misses and gets countered, especially in there with someone who is so adept to that, like Roy Jones. Now, what you will also see is Mike Tyson going down to the body, which is very important, because if you go in there just headhunting, like maybe you would expect a knockout artist to do, you don't necessarily need to do that, and sometimes working to the body can create opportunities upstairs as well, because if you work down to the body and sicken your opponent with those body shots, then the gloves will drop because they will want to defend against body shots, not necessarily shots upstairs. So then that creates a target upstairs because obviously they drop their gloves, they drop their elbows down tight to protect their body and midriff. But then that exposes a target upstairs for Mike Tyson to go to. That is what he is trying to do. Work the whole of his opponent. Make sure that he's not just in there headhunting or just working to the body. He needs to make sure that he varies his punches and has great punch dexterity in there, especially at this kind of level. I know these guys are older now, but there is still a certain level that they are fighting at, especially when you consider they are both around the same age and been through certain experiences in their careers that kind of mirror one another, not the same, but similar. That is why it is interesting to have these two in the ring, because they are at the same level, they are at the same point, and that is why it is even a fair fight. And it will soon be the time for both of them to step into the ring, because it's not long now. We have seen all of the footage, we have seen the back and forth between the two of them. Mike Tyson saying that he's the greatest fighter since the conception of God, and then Roy Jones countering that by saying nothing can compare or compete with my speed. So they both believe that they are going to win this, and that doesn't sound much like an exhibition to me, which I don't want it to be. I mean, exhibitions are kind of boring. You don't really know the tone, you don't know what is going on. Is there even a desire to win? These two are consummate professionals, yes, but they are fighters. And as I said previously, they know how to have a fight. They don't know how to have an exhibition. That is why I believe that this one will catch fire at some point. Then, who's going to stop it from continuing? Who is going to win this? You can make a case for both fighters. You can say that, okay, Mike Tyson needs to go for the knockout and beat Roy Jones that way. Not necessarily. Roy Jones, does he need to box and then outpoint someone like Mike Tyson? No, because you have someone who is considered a pure boxer in Roy Jones. Then you have a power puncher in Mike Tyson. But let me tell you this, the puncher can box and the boxer can punch, because Roy Jones actually has more knockouts on his resume than Mike Tyson. So when you consider that, Roy Jones can hurt Mike Tyson. So if Mike Tyson wants to be bullish and get on the inside and rough Roy Jones up, Roy Jones will have some of that, because he has the power to also hurt Mike Tyson. And so what that means is we have two perfect styles to blend perfectly for a good fight. It will be entertaining, it will be vicious at times, it won't be an exhibition at all in my opinion. Maybe to start with, a jab or two here and there, but when it catches fire, this fight is going to go mental. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Who do you have winning this fight? Are you backing Mike Tyson? Because he's labelled as kind of the puncher in this fight. Or do you have Roy Jones Jr., who is labelled the boxer in this fight? But both of them have similar abilities. Roy Jones can punch, Mike Tyson can box. Otherwise, Mike Tyson would not have made it to the level that he got to, just on being a bullish power puncher. Same with Roy Jones. Yes, he's a pure boxer, but considering he's moved through the weight classes, moved up even to heavyweight, if you do not have a certain amount of punching power, then you cannot keep your opponent away from you, because Roy Jones' style is one that is elusive at times, but also he likes to sit in the pocket and trade. But he is able to be elusive, he is able to maintain a certain distance between him and his opponent for a certain reason, because he has the power to sting them if they want to get cocky, if they want to try and rough Roy Jones up and close that distance. So his footwork doesn't matter, his speed doesn't matter. He punches hard enough to get the respect to make sure that they don't do that. That is why Roy Jones, during his prime, was the complete package, because he was a pure boxer with lightning fast speed, movement, positioning, timing, but he had that punching power also to get the respect of his opponent no matter who was in front of him. That is why Roy Jones is such an exciting fighter. But then again, Mike Tyson, being a power puncher, he has that boxing and those fundamentals, the schooling that allowed him to get to the level he did without just being a power puncher. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.